All right, so we're diving into something today that I think a lot of our listeners are probably thinking about these days, and that is, AI,
Yeah,
and specifically how tools like ChatGPT could play a role in our mental health and our well-being.
for sure.
And, speaking of that, you guys sent in a really interesting article from Verywell Mind.
Okay.
It's called 7 Ways You Can Use ChatGPT for Your Mental Health and Wellness.
Wow.
And, we definitely wanted to take a closer look at this with you.
Yeah, I think at the heart of it is this question of, you know, can these AI tools actually, provide real support
Right.
for our mental health and well-being, or is this just, another tech fad that's going to come and go?
Yeah. Is it hype or is it something that can genuinely help?
Right.
And that's really what we want to kind of unpack for you guys today.
Yeah, and I like that you said unpack because I don't think we want to necessarily jump to conclusions or endorse or dismiss anything right away.
Right.
We just want to really understand, what are the ways that this tool can be helpful according to these experts?
Mm-hmm.
But also, what are the limitations?
Right.
When do we absolutely need to seek out human support?
Yeah, so it's not about replacing anything. It's about like adding to the tools we have.
Right, exactly. It's like supplemental.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start with like the basics here. How is ChatGPT even being positioned in this context of mental health?
Yeah, so the article introduces us to Dr. Mickey Lee Alambaby.
Okay.
She's from Clarity Therapy. And I thought it was really interesting how she framed ChatGPT initially.
Okay.
She uses this term stepping stone
Hmm.
as a kind of a way to think about it in relation to mental health support.
I like that stepping stone because it implies that it's a starting point. It can give you some traction,
Yeah,
but it's not the end all be all, right?
exactly. Yeah, it's not the final destination.
And actually, the article really emphasizes this. All of the experts interviewed were very clear that ChatGPT, it's not a replacement for therapy. It's not a replacement for genuine human connection.
Mhm.
That's like a fundamental thing we have to keep in mind.
Absolutely. And, the article doesn't shy away from the potential downsides either.
Okay.
So Dr. Lombaby brings up the concern of inaccurate information,
Right.
which is something we always have to be mindful of with any AI.
For sure.
And then there's the issue of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike therapy where you have confidentiality,
Right.
those conversations with ChatGPT don't have those same protections.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction.
Yeah, for sure.
Like what you share with it isn't necessarily private.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and Dr. Alimbaby is also very clear about what ChatGPT can't do.
Right.
It can't diagnose mental health conditions. It
Mhm.
can't give you, really reliable treatment advice that's like specific to your needs.
Yeah.
And I think this is key. It can't really truly understand your individual life experiences
Right.
and your context, and all of that plays a huge role in well-being.
Absolutely. All the nuances
Right.
of our individual lives.
Yeah. Exactly.
So with those really crucial points in mind,
Yeah.
the article then goes on to outline 7 ways that ChatGPT could potentially be used.
Okay, let's get into that.
Let's dive in.
What's the first one?
So the first one is help with journaling.
Journaling. Okay.
That's something that a lot of people find really helpful,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it can be hard to just, stare at that blank page.
Oh, yeah, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where Michelle English comes in.
Okay.
She's a licensed clinical social worker.
Okay.
And she suggests that ChatGPT can actually help here by providing prompts
Oh, interesting.
and helping to organize your thoughts when you're feeling scattered.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, what, I want to journal, but then it's like, what do I even write about?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, where do I even begin?
Yeah, and I could see how if you're already, struggling with your mental health,
Right.
just like that blank page could feel extra daunting.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting how, the AI can kind of provide that structure.
Mm-hmm.
Those suggestions can help you overcome that initial hurdle.
Yeah, and Michelle English actually points out another benefit too.
Okay, like that?
She says that by organizing your entries, with the help of ChatGPT, it can be a lot easier to spot patterns,
Right.
to track your progress over time, and to even pinpoint specific triggers that are affecting, your mental state.
Yeah. So it's almost like adding this layer of analysis to your self-reflection.
Right. It's like you have this objective assistant
Yeah.
helping you see those trends in your own thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. So it's not just, free-flowing writing.
Right.
It's actually helping you analyze what you're writing.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, what's the next one?
So the next one builds on this idea of organization.
Okay.
And it's using ChatGPT for what Dr. Lembaby calls a brain dump.
A brain dump.
Yeah, so she recommends this, especially for people who have trouble initiating tasks or structuring their tasks.
Which, can be a common challenge.
Yeah, and, even people with ADHD, they often talk about struggling with that.
Absolutely. And so her suggestion is, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just dump all of your to-dos for the week. Get it all out.
Just get it out of your head.
Yeah, and then the AI can help you categorize those tasks and schedule them across different days.
So it's taking that mental load and making it tangible.
Exactly. It's giving it structure.
Yeah, because sometimes it's just like swirling around up there.
Yeah, it's like a huge jumbled mess.
And that's what gets you feeling so overwhelmed.
Yeah, right? You don't even know where to begin.
So this way you have an actual plan to look at.
Right, a roadmap.
I like that.
Okay,
what about number 3?
So number 3 is using ChatGPT to provide psychoeducation.
Psychoeducation. Okay. That's a term I've heard before, but I don't know if everyone's familiar with it.
Yeah, it's a term that's often used in therapy.
Right. And the article explains that it basically means learning about mental health conditions.
Yeah.
Their symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment.
Okay, so it's like getting educated about mental health.
Exactly. And Gail Clark, who's another LCSW,
Okay.
describes ChatGPT as like a neutral, easily accessible, and immediate source for this kind of information.
I like that she highlights that neutral aspect.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I think sometimes, when we're talking about mental health with other people, it can feel really charged, emotionally charged.
Right.
And it can bring up our own anxieties.
Yeah, you might feel judged, or you might feel like you have to, present yourself in a certain way.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I think with ChatGPT, you can ask those questions. You can get information without that like immediate emotional baggage.
Right.
The human interaction.
Like a safe space to explore.
Yeah. And Clark actually gives some great examples of this.
Okay, what are some of those?
So you could use it to try to identify potential trauma responses,
Okay.
to understand different mental health symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and even to explore, different treatment options.
Wow, so it can be like a starting point.
Yeah, just to get a basic understanding.
Yeah, in a low-pressure environment.
Exactly. All right, what's next?
So number 4 is brainstorming coping strategies.
Coping strategies.
So when you're struggling, with your mental health, it can be really hard to figure out what's going to help,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like you might know intellectually, okay, deep breathing helps with anxiety.
Right.
But when you're in the moment of a panic attack, you can't even remember to breathe.
Totally. It all goes out the window.
Right. And that's where Clark sees ChatGPT as a valuable tool
Okay.
because it can help you brainstorm ideas.
Like when you're in that moment and you need something.
Exactly.
Okay, so how would you use it for that?
Well, you could ask it for specific suggestions.
Okay.
So let's say you're dealing with panic attacks.
Mhm.
You could say, give me mindfulness techniques for managing panic attacks.
Hi.
Or if you're struggling with grief, you could ask for journal prompts that are specific to processing grief.
I like that.
Or you could even ask it to help you create personalized affirmations.
Oh, interesting.
So it's really about jumpstarting your thinking.
Yeah, like getting the wheels turning.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. What about number 5?
So number 5 actually circles back to organization,
Okay.
but in a more general sense.
Yeah.
It's just about organizing your to-do lists.
Okay, so we're back to that idea of like taming the chaos.
Exactly. And this is where Michelle English comes in again.
Okay.
And she emphasizes that when your mind is feeling chaotic,
Yeah.
just figuring out where to start with your tasks can be a huge obstacle.
Oh, absolutely. And then you just end up doing nothing.
Right, exactly. And so she suggests using ChatGPT to sort through your tasks,
Okay.
to prioritize them based on urgency or importance,
Mm-hmm.
and to break them down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yeah, I mean, that's classic, project management advice.
Right, but we don't always think to apply it to our personal lives.
Yeah. Exactly. And, sometimes I think we resist that kind of structure.
Yeah, it can feel very rigid.
But I think when you're really struggling with feeling overwhelmed, that's when it can be most helpful.
Absolutely. It's about creating clarity from chaos.
And it's like having a digital project manager for your life,
I like that.
which I think we could all use sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's number 6?
So number 6 is interesting. It's about creating responses for communicating with difficult people.
Communicating with difficult people.
Yeah, this is where Gail Clark's expertise is really valuable
Okay.
because she has a lot of experience with emotional abuse.
Right.
And she explains that a common tactic in emotionally abusive situations is to overwhelm someone with messages
Oh, wow.
and personal attacks.
Yeah.
And the goal is to try to draw you into these like prolonged, emotionally draining arguments.
That sounds so stressful.
It is, and it's very manipulative.
And it's so easy to get sucked in.
Right.
Like you just react defensively,
Yeah.
emotionally.
And that's what the abuser wants. They
Right.
want to get that reaction from you.
So how does ChatGPT help with that?
So Clark suggests that you can actually use ChatGPT's lack of emotion
Okay.
to your advantage.
Interesting.
So you can prompt it to create short, factual responses.
Okay.
It can help you avoid overreacting or getting emotionally entangled.
So it's like you're taking a step back
Exactly. It's creating that emotional distance.
and having this more controlled way of communicating.
Right. And it can help prevent the situation from escalating.
Wow. I like that. I mean, it's not about, having the AI argue for you. It's about helping you maintain those boundaries
Mhm.
and not getting sucked into those like unproductive exchanges.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. Okay. What's the last one?
So the seventh way is using ChatGPT as a tool for gathering information between therapy sessions.
Between therapy sessions. Okay.
So your therapists often recommend supplementary materials
Mm.
like articles, books, podcasts.
Right.
And Clark suggests that ChatGPT can be another resource for this kind of information gathering.
Okay. So it's like using it as a search engine almost.
Yes, sort of.
Yeah.
But it can do more than just search.
Okay.
It can actually help you understand the information.
So if your therapist says, hey, look into this concept or, explore different perspectives on this issue,
Right.
ChatGPT could be a quick way to get started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can give you that initial overview.
All right. So it's about enriching the therapy process,
Yeah.
not replacing the therapist.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've gone through these 7 ways to use it,
Mhm.
but I think it's really important that we revisit those limitations that we talked about
Absolutely. Those are crucial.
because it's so easy to get caught up in all the, cool things it can do.
Yeah. And the potential.
But we have to remember that it's not a replacement for therapy,
Right.
for human connection.
It's not a human.
Right. It's a tool. And, it may be able to help with certain tasks,
Mm.
but it can't provide that empathy,
Okay.
that understanding of human emotions.
The nuance.
Yeah. And that therapeutic relationship, which is so important.
It's foundational.
Right. And like we said before, it can't diagnose conditions.
Mm.
It can't give personalized treatment.
Right.
And it just doesn't understand the depth and complexity
Yeah.
of your individual circumstances the way a therapist can.
Right. It's just not equipped for that.
Exactly. And the lack of privacy protections is a big one too.
Yes, absolutely.
So all of these potential applications,
Mhm.
they all have to be seen in the context of ChatGPT being supplemental.
Right.
It's an addition, not the main course.
Exactly.
And, the article ends with a really important reminder,
Okay.
which is when to actually seek professional help.
That's so key.
Right. Because, we can get carried away with all this,
Right.
but if you're truly struggling,
Yeah.
ChatGPT shouldn't be your only strategy.
Mhm.
The article really makes it clear that anyone who's having these persistent mental health challenges,
Yeah.
they can benefit so much from working with a therapist, with a qualified, licensed professional.
And if you're not sure where to start,
Yeah.
the article recommends reaching out to your primary care doctor
Right.
for a referral
Yeah.
or, looking for therapists in your area.
Yeah. Just taking that step to connect with a human
Right.
who can help you.
That's so crucial.
It is. All right. So to kind of wrap up our deep dive into this article,
Yeah.
I think the key takeaway is that ChatGPT can be a helpful supplement
Yeah.
for certain mental well-being tasks.
Right. It can help with certain things.
Yeah, like giving you that structure for journaling,
Mhm.
helping you organize your thoughts, your to-do lists,
Right.
offering that like initial psychoeducation,
Mhm.
brainstorming coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
and even helping you write those responses
Right.
in those difficult communication
Right.
situations.
That's a lot.
It is, but we have to keep in mind those limitations. But
Absolutely.
it's not a therapist.
Right.
It can't provide treatment or diagnosis,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have that same confidentiality
Right.
that you would have in a therapeutic setting.
Exactly.
So for any serious mental health concerns,
Yeah.
seeking support from a licensed mental health professional, that's still the most important
Yeah.
and the most effective thing to do.
Absolutely.
So as you guys are thinking about all of this, and the potential role of AI in mental well-being,
Yeah.
here's something I want you to consider.
Okay.
How might you, thoughtfully integrate these tools
Mm,
to enhance your own understanding and your own management of your well-being,
right.
but in conjunction with your human connections
Mm,
and any professional support you might be receiving.
right. So alongside the human element, not instead of.
Exactly. And maybe even more importantly, what personal boundaries would be important for you to set
Yeah.
to make sure that, you're using these tools in a healthy way
Right.
and not letting them become a substitute for genuine human interaction
Absolutely.
and for professional guidance when you need it.
Yeah, that's a great question for everyone to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely food for thought.
It is.
All right, thanks for exploring this with us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.